The Deep Talk with Mr. Henry.
It's a beautiful day. I do not know what it is maker. Go and Davida Kuchitimba and Davida TV. I know it's a beautiful evening. Thank you so much for keeping it time for your favorite show, The Deep Talk with Mr. Henry. Unako Radio, I have it's not every day that you have a very young man who is a president, a guild president for one of the biggest institutions in Africa, the biggest in Uganda, and who is born into a family that is very renowned and who has got a lot of media attention. I don't know whether that was intentional or not intentional. But most importantly, we want to know what he stands for, what he thinks, and what his life has been, what his journey has been to become the kind of man that he is. You might be wondering, who am I talking about? I'm talking about Sentam Churchill James. Pleasure to have you on the show, Mr. James.
It's a pleasure to be hosted here, Mr. Henry.
You are born Sentam Churchill.
Yeah.
Oba Churchill Rija.
Actually, I was Sentamu Hitler.
I
promise. So, fast forward, I think 9 days after my birth, people complain. They tell my dad, Hitler, no. You know how he massacred people in Germany.
Yes.
He changed it to Churchill. But as originally, Sentamu Hitler James. Yeah.
Mwami Nyanzi Sentamu yali akutumye Hitler.
You see, he's so fond of history and yeah, so he looked of a revolutionary name.
Yes.
So at first it was Hitler, but because of the negativity that came
with the name Hitler.
Yeah, so it changed to Churchill in the long run.
So he wanted you to be a leader. Basically Olinga, somebody who was born to lead from the choice of name.
Yeah, true.
What does it feel like growing up in a household of Nyanzi as a chairman and as a leader and ebitiwa byonna by'alina?
Yeah, first and foremost, sometimes you don't get the normal kind of childhood like very many people. Nti tosobola kuzannya mu ngeri emu nti tabani wagundi yakoze atya, or bomba munyumya emboozi waka mulina olaba amawulire, you know, mulina okubeera interested mu kimuze ekyakola at the time. You know, so all my life he has been in politics. Like,
yes.
Nze mbadde mmanyi nti daddy munabyabufuzi. Yeah, he has done a few businesses out there. He owns some enterprises and a few, but politics has been the talk of the day.
Yes.
So I've grown up in that line, knowing that this is how things are done. So growing up from that household, first of all, this is very challenging. You're expected to behave in a certain type of way. There are certain things you're supposed not to do, and
things like what? When you say certain things you're not supposed to do, things like what?
You see, growing up, you know how you grow up with people in the village. Ntikati waliwo ka birthday party, bamba chaibo bagenda. They're like, nogena mami ngenda nida tata wana akitegera nakiraba atya. Yes, so normal childhood setwagifuna, but it is a good thing because of Osango for our safety to change over day, really, you know. Yes, so childhood day tetwagifuna, but era ngo bimanyi mzee afulumye gwanga. Mami nedda tuleke
tugende tweyagalemu.
Era mzee nga lwafuluma tumulekera n'essanyu nga
buli bw'aba afuluma eggwanga
yokoma odi nga bagamba wabulawo omwezi gumu nkomewo nga tusooka tuteekako space enyiize.
Yes.
Daddy kati bwagenda ngamba kiwedde.
Muli bameka mwami Nyanzi alina muli bameka in his household?
In his household we are abana abali mu household ya mwami Nyanzi tuli 11. Just that ababeerawo kati tuli 9. Kainange sibeerawo, but anyway. 9. One is in America, my older sister. Then my brother, O'Shea, he's called Mukisa Hussein O'Shea. he's out of the
Okay.
home, but he's around.
He's
He's actually
around, yeah?
standing for LC3 Kamocha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Mm.
the rest to be Lokatins, I have an older sister called Liz
Mm.
Nyanzi. That's some girl. She's always an ex, and
Mm.
then me, then my younger siblings.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Name muzaliwa wameka same mother, same dad.
Nah, that is information for another day.
It's okay to be yes and you maybe to be
Yes,
okay.
anyway, but bona bana feta tuzalwa.
Definitely.
Yes.
Fast forward now. Ofuka Guild President Wema Kennedy. Is this something you had planned? Is it from your secondary school days?
Okay, people that are outside my life,
Mm.
but I studied with them at high school, would think it was planned.
Mm.
Because at high school, I was the school president.
Mm.
Yeah, like the school head prefect.
The head prefect,
Yes.
yes. Which school do you go to?
St. Julian Gayaza.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah. So I was head prefect not because I wanted to, but because I saw it is possible. When my uncle ran for president in 2021,
Mm.
when we went to school after that, I got the motivation. And it was easier for me because students knew me.
Mm.
So it got easy.
They knew that
Yeah.
Chagrani Sentama is your uncle.
Yes, because he came to school one time.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, I had my cousin who is a daughter to Eddie Owe.
Mm.
So Eddie also would come.
Mm.
Even ducks sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was self-explanatory now. Because I'm not the type who would come and say, hello, you know me? My name is this, my uncle is this. No, I wouldn't do that.
Yes.
But it just really built itself up. Yes. So I became president at the school with a very big margin of votes.
That is secondary school now.
Yeah, secondary school. Actually, even in Oliver, I was prefect. Because I left St. Mary's Chitende when I was in senior 3. Then I joined St. Julian in senior 3 second term. And I stood immediately and I won.
Mm.
So when I won, a few things came around. I had to sit senior 4.
You restart senior 4?
No, I had to sit senior 4.
Senior 4, yes.
Then I didn't really want to go on with prefectship because it was taking up my time. So I let it be. Then we come to work. Then you know how COVID comes in. But I want to assure you, I feel like God has the way he does his things. If we didn't go home for COVID, I would not stand for president.
At MOOC?
At St. Julian.
Okay.
Because senior 5 was in 2020. Yeah, my senior 5. You know how those students came and studied for 3 weeks? Then?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was part of those people who were doing their senior 6 at the time. So I came, their senior 5, I beg your pardon. So when I was there, I even had a person I was going to support for president. I was putting on, I was just my own life, not the kind of person that would be president.
Yes.
Then when you go for COVID,
yes.
then there is a space where my uncle then runs for president.
Yes.
I think it was after COVID. Yeah. So that space where he runs for president, I get inspired. Like, I'm like, bro, my uncle was or is or was like how I am today. Yeah.
He was a carefree guy.
Yeah, then you change now. And you're like,
But your dad has always been a leader. You didn't get inspiration from your dad?
I'm talking about president now.
Hey, president.
Yeah. Because I stood for games and sports prefect because I was coming from a political background.
Okay, yes.
So, but president was too big for me to just, But when my uncle stood, this is honesty now. When he stood, he sort of sparked up something in me. I'm like, bruv, it's possible, man. I mean, anyway, anyone can change from, someone that is really lousy in a way, and don't do that, please. So
I don't.
Don't. So responsibility came up. Yeah, we come to school, and I already have this inspiration. I have this thing where I think it is possible. And when I come to school, I still didn't have the idea to stand until the president that was there at the time said, but you can stand. You can come after me. I'm like, I was even to be angry. And for the start of that senior 5, when we had gone back to school, I remember I had an Air Force black shoe. It was what I was using to study, and an Alexander McQueen. I had 2 shoes. I had no gentle shoe like the one I'm having today. So he told me, you need to change the way you put on. I had some kind of a French cut as well.
Yes.
I used to put on baggy clothes, chains and what. But you can. I'm like, are you sure? Because he knew how well I could speak and all.
Yes.
Yeah, so he told me, but you can. So yeah, I stood and I won. So that way, then now coming to campus, I came still, I didn't have the plan to stand. But how I stand, the boy who told me to stand in senior 5 had won presidency at Makerere.
For real?
Yes.
Okay.
The very president who was at my school is called Lubega Vincent Samba.
Yes, he was a good friend of mine, the former
Yes.
president.
So he had won. Okay, we supported him through his election when I was in my year 1. Nize nga nyambala byange,
Nga si byoliko,
jini zange, or, you know. So he wins an election. I'm like, but this is the same boy I slept with in the same room at St. Julian. He has won.
Rachinze.
Why not me? Because so the talk now was, can you go after him like you did at high school? Can you then come in after him?
Yes.
So I got the motivation. Nentandika March last year. I started campaigning, but now kolanga bye yandikoze. You know, bya kolanga. Ngamwebuza of course try to inquire around what to do.
Before you stand, would you say wali popular in university?
My sister was, yeah, because my sister was the chairperson of the National Unity Platform Makerere chapter. So people who would get to know me as the brother to my sister then would be like, oh, this is the guy. Okay, hi. It's people actually just, there are some people
Sister
today,
is ahead of you, right?
yeah.
Okay.
There are some people who call me Lizzie's brother. They don't call me by my name. Okay, now that I'm president, of course, now
Yes,
they know.
yes.
But before, they were like Lizzie's brother. So I wasn't popular, but I had some sort of fame around because I had moved around, you know, during the campaign. People had gotten to know me, but I wasn't popular.
Okay.
Yeah.
You stand. You come from a family that is strongly associated with the National Unity Platform party. You don't stand for the National Unity Platform party. You stand as an independent. And the National Unity Platform party, where your uncle is the president, fronts someone different. How does that happen, and why did you make that choice?
Now, I stood. Yeah, I stood. But you see, Makerere University is an entity where they don't entertain partisan politics.
They don't.
They do not. So would you ever see a student on the ballot paper for Makerere University with a symbol. For example, a bus, an umbrella, a hoe, a key. Like politics, partisan politics operates outside the university. So standing in that election was only to seek for party help. Whoever wins that election then gets the party support.
Yes.
Yes. For example, finances. The party can decide to say that we're going to make you 5,000 posters.
Okay.
We shall help you stage a rally outside, something of that sort.
So you'd say the parties are more involved outside.
Yeah.
But not.
At Makerere, you can even be disqualified if you ever identify as a member of a party in an election.
Okay.
Yeah. So no one would. That's why you would not see maybe people from the NRM coming to Makerere.
Yes.
Or members from the National Unity Platform coming to campaign for anyone, which they would have done.
Yes.
In normal circumstances.
Definitely.
But anyone that is associated with a political party is entirely out of the race.
Okay.
So it was only to get help that we stood. So the NUP didn't front a candidate. They supported a different candidate. As per the laws of the party, that whoever wins an election, because you must know how NUP gives out party cards, it's very rare for them to hold an election. So, but for ours, since it's a student thing and they don't want to create sentiments between people, you go and vote. It's a democracy setting. So the students, after me not getting the party support in this case
of the National Unity Platform,
yes, they add me on. You know how you lead on someone.
Were you disappointed by not getting it? Did you ask for it?
You don't ask for it. You compete for it.
Okay.
I never asked anyone for favors.
Yes.
Even when I could go to my uncle's office time and again to speak about what to do, and
you went to him and told him Ngenda Vera president.
Yeah.
And how did he receive the news?
He was positive. I must say you go and do it. You go and So after that, so students now thought that since I've not won the primaries, I'm going to leave the election. Which was the idea.
What are you going to be for?
Yes, and God really does his things in a very different way.
I love the way you keep bringing up God. You're a staunch believer.
I'm a staunch believer, yeah. So, students, that very night, it was a Monday night, I remember. I think Monday, 11th. Yes, I think 11th or 13th March. So after that, people now get the news. They're like, oh my God, Churchill did. So people are like, what is the way forward? I'm like, colleagues, I don't know. Please don't leave the election. We only see capability in you. We feel like you can push this forward. No more students.
Yes.
People who are staunch cadres of NRM, staunch cadres of NUP.
But
and
they're
yet,
choosing you.
yes, me,
who has not been,
exactly,
who has lost the primaries
exactly
for the National Unity Platform.
And I really look around and I'm like, because if it wasn't for those people, I wouldn't stand. Because you would be lying to yourself. Okay? Yeah, so very rarely has a person or a student without party support had the numbers that I amassed in the election.
What do you think made you win and brought all those numbers on your side?
Now, there are a few factors. See, when I was campaigning, I prayed a lot. I even fasted. And I believed God. That is primarily the number one thing. Yeah. Then I think the way I addressed myself with the students, I could blend with someone from a smaller background. Then when I come to people who feel like, the cool kids, and I can still fit in them. So I had a general campaign format. What's up, man? You good? I could blend.
Yes.
Then the girls as well. I mean, I learned how to handle the girls, because girls normally do not vote. They have no interest.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And since it was a campaign of only boys, were 13 boys who stood, I realized how different can you be. Okay? The girl, when you look at Makerere, we have around 45,000 students, but only 12 or 10,000 vote. And the bigger number of these that vote are boys. So I thought, how different can I be?
Kanubaba picking.
Abachala abo, banyumira bichi, talk to them nicely.
Yes.
Girls are not really, I'm going to do this. No.
You just need to feel a friendly touch.
Yeah. Oh my God, is this? Oh my God, So I learned the dynamics about the battle, but most importantly, I had an organic team.
Yes.
I don't remember any time where I told someone kati gwe Henry Jangu ngwe mtwala 5 ompagire. No.
Bajja buzimulo.
Kulo benasoma nabo abala banga campaigning, because I had done it for a long time, over a year.
Yeah. What did you acquire your uncle Chagulanyi Centre campaign booster or daddy?
No, daddy probably, because now you're looking at him in two ways.
Yes.
You look at him as a party president and as a father. So as party president, in the position that I was holding, it was very wrong for him to publicly come out when we haven't gone through the right process.
Exactly.
So that would probably look nepotic in a way. But as a father still, I would go to his home in Magere, we discuss as father and son in the way. And he really gave me an eye-opener on some of the things I would do. I think the most important thing he told me was to be as humble as possible. That's the biggest advice I got from him.
That's Bobby Wine.
Yeah, that's Bobby Wine in the case. He told me, he would advise, be as humble, be down to earth. Because some people would feel happy to associate with me as a son to Bobby Wine, but some would look at it as a problem, that why am I a son to Bobby Wine and I'm standing as guild president under NUP. Okay, a son to Nyanzi, a brother to Bobby Wine. Yes, but
tata womuto era.
Yeah, actually mu Luganda mba mutabani we. But mu Luzungu, if someone is watching the video,
like, yeah.
So he advised on what to do. So he really helps me there, like in the campaigns as well.
When you win, what do you feel in that moment? It's not so long ago. We're talking about just March when you get sworn in as the 91st guild president of a great institution. What sweeps you in your head?
I cried. I don't remember the last time I had cried without anything. I don't think I've ever cried. Okay, this is sad to say, but I've not really had these moments where I have to cry.
Yeah, I
like
know.
Maybe lost someone.
No, it's not sad. It's life.
What I'm saying is, of course, someone may be watching,
Mm.
you know, but fortunately or unfortunately, I've not been in that position
Yes.
before. So I think this is the first time I really shed tears. Tewali nti oba bankule kiboko bati just the emotions, because ebigambo byali bingi ebyayogerwa botawangula abayizi, people that are like you who come with no party behind them never win. You'll be as why someone who is supported by the NRM wins the election. You cannot win. You know, now already people had taken pictures when the NUP, the person that was supported by NUP, you know, so people are like, oh my God. So I sometimes, at some point, it got overwhelming. And I'm like, what if really
Before the results came out, were you scared of becoming a failure?
Okay, here's one thing about me. I've stood in 4 elections. I've not lost any. But before this one, I had stood in 3, and all of them, none of them was an easy election. The one at school, people told me, no, for you're too lousy to be the president, be a timekeeper. This is a teacher of mine who I thought would advise me accordingly. Then I went to the vetting process in that election, and the deputy head teacher, who is the patron of students,
Yes.
of prefects, did not ask me a question, a single question. I spent 5 minutes in the vetting process, and my opponent spent 30. The lists come out. I'm number 1 on the qualified candidates. Then the other, I was a new student in senior 3 from Chitende.
Yes.
I was standing against someone who had been at this school for 5 years.
Yes.
Who is part of the school team and is the captain.
Hey.
And I'm in senior 3. I'm standing 4 games and sports. I stand and I have more votes than the president actually.
Yeah.
So I hadn't been in an easy election.
Yeah.
But I want to be honest. My belief in God is high.
Over and above. Yes.
I said, God, I'm attacking this day, but kindly lead me through. Whatever happens, it is for your glory. If I fail, I'm failing for you.
Yes.
That's why I changed my motto from let's get hard to endorsed by God. Yeah. So
before it was
let's get hard.
To Kalube.
To
Let's
Kalube.
get hard.
It was actually let's get hard to get hard. To Kalube to Ulidwe. Then I think I saw how events were turning out.
I'm going to change it to.
And people are like this one has been endorsed by another candidate. Because there is a candidate who endorsed an NRM candidate. And it was too much. Then a party has endorsed someone, you know. So it was me alone. I'm like, no, endorsed by God.
Twendembere.
So I prayed hard. Of course, the fear came in. The fear came in, but you know. So when I won, the feeling was the first thing that I did after like it was the announced online. I actually knelt down. I put my head on the ground and cried. We were outside with my team. I cried for like a minute. Then now I had to get up and we have to go and get people who are celebrating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of weeks into the office, the president comes to your school. The president of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Now, I want you to picture this situation, yeah? He's the son of Chairman Nyanzi, who is a brother to Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Bobi Wine, who is the president for the National Unity Platform. There are high expectations. Yakawangula Kalulu, Bulimainengeti Jamalabamu. Now, the president comes to Makerere when you are the president. After the break, we'll talk about that story. I'm with Ssentamu James Churchill, the 91st Guild President of Makerere University, is studying bachelor's in science?
Social science.
Social sciences, yeah. After the break, Tovao, this is the Deep Talk.
The Deep Talk with Mr. Henry.